I've made this video beforehand. It's been a few years. I'll remake it. It's on a different channel, different YouTube channel. I'm Nid Styles, David Harmon. I was involved in the Bitcoin project from the start. I got recruited right off the EVGA technical discussion forums in troubleshooting GPUs and doing mining stuff, basically working on CUDA, because I had been working on CUDA for months. And Satoshi had put up a help wanted thing for building miners, testers, people involved with embedded systems development and all that other stuff for hardware integration. Because originally, let's go back, this is way back in the day in 2000, late 2008, early 2009. Originally, Bitcoin was supposed to be basically the operating system. It wasn't supposed to run on Linux, the miners and all this stuff. Kind of how it is now, where we have, I think it's, I don't even know the name of the mining software. It's like Octominer or whatever, something like that. It used to be where we wanted to, his intent and our intent was to have it running directly on the metal. Obviously, that didn't work out. We needed a kernel to manage the drivers because reasons. But the original intent was to be able to see if we could get it to run it on metal. That stopped because we needed an integration layer for certain pieces of hardware like the SSDs, which we were still developing SSDs at the time. I was on that dev team too. Hi, I'm Tron Crew. How you doing? And so when we were building Bitcoin, I wasn't involved in the coding. I was a tester, which meant I did all the system integration testing at the end, syncing the mining, the wallet, and all that other stuff together, along with basically the ledger itself, which was already almost 100 megabytes when I got involved and actually working with it, because they worked in the lab together. They built a whole bunch of stuff. And then they gave it out to us, and then we started doing the testing at the end. And this was early 2009. There were two groups within the BTC community. One ended up becoming what's called BTC Gold, and the other became BTC Core. Now, the reason why this occurred is because when Satoshi was involved, he was not doing any of the actual admin stuff. He was the lead developer. He didn't do any of the management stuff at all. Like, he had somebody else do it, and I'm not going to name that person, but that person got involved a little later in the development cycle than the rest of us did. So I didn't know this person. I didn't know who he was. Like, I don't know a whole lot of the people in the community that were involved in early development, because I met most of them on the internet. I never met them in real person. I've met like 3 or 4 people in real person. One of them just got terminated from Google. He was involved. Very notable person. So you'll understand immediately what happened. So after release, after ICO, initial coin offering, which wasn't really a big deal to us. It was just when we put the miner up, when we decided to the miner, it was the CPU miner that we were actually releasing ourselves, was actually iteratively compliant enough to what we wanted to be. And we released it when it first released it. And then we started letting other external parties start mining Bitcoin, is when we saw this thing called Bitcoin Gold and Bitcoin Core. The split occurred because we did basically a network split, because there was an argument of these guys over here trying to take control of Bitcoin, because they said, oh, we have most of the miners, we have the future, we own the future of Bitcoin. And there was this disagreement. And so the core team said, we're going to reform as a new thing and split off. And that's what they did. They split. Bitcoin Core is just Bitcoin. That's just Bitcoin. They're the original dev core, and Bitcoin Gold, we pushed them off. We were like, no, thank you. What we did is, well, not we, me, the conversation involved me, but I wasn't directly involved in 2011. I said I was okay with it because I'd been on the original dev team. I said I was okay with it because I held Bitcoins At that point, I held enough to have some kind of sway in the conversation. Didn't hold enough to be like Satoshi level, but Satoshi was pretty much leaving us at the point. We had to do a complete rewrite of the wallet. We went from QT, the QT wallet, to what it is. Well, not now. We're on like the fourth or fifth iteration of the wallet, or how the wallet should be configured as standard for the wallet. But when we split, Bitcoin Gold kept the QT stuff, kept all that stuff. They went off and they kept a huge chunk of Bitcoins, and we had to reallocate those coins. And it took a major rewrite on how coins were stored to get them off of the blockchain, because they were trying to take over the nodes, the mining nodes and the ledgers. And it was a huge, huge split in the community. If you weren't involved in Bitcoin back then, you just wouldn't know about it, because we didn't tell anybody. I made this video before telling people that this happened, and obviously nobody listens because I'm nobody now. So when that split occurred is when these notes about Jeffrey Epstein, Bitcoin Core thing, it occurred. Okay, so Bitcoin Gold is dead. There were two different Bitcoins on the market. Like, it wasn't like somebody innovated and created a new Bitcoin during that period. They were not a new coin. It was Bitcoin. They were Bitcoin at one point, but they got knocked off the ledger because push came to shove. He wanted control over the development direction, and I didn't like this guy, and I know nobody else liked this guy, so they just pushed him off the cliff, basically. That coin, as far as I'm aware, BTC Gold didn't last very long. I don't know what happened to it. I don't care, because my life kept going. It was just a project to me. A project of many projects that I've been involved in. It's just a project. When the only thing you do in life is look for a next project to be a part of, or to start up yourself, it's just another project. It's not something. It's not like a momentous occasion in your life. You just you get involved with it, you do it, you move along. Like you don't sit there and malinger about it, or you don't like hold this as like, this is the best thing I've ever done in my life. You're just like, yeah, okay, that was fun. I learned a lot. Move on. Let's find another project. And I did. I moved on to a different project, but that doesn't matter at this point. What does matter is clearing this up, because I don't know who Jeffrey Epstein was then. I didn't even know who he was. Like, if I knew there was a guy in the community that was a child molester, I definitely would have told everyone that I'm not interested, because I don't want anything to do with that. I never heard the name Jeffrey Epstein until he got arrested under Trump. I think it was under Trump he got arrested, 2018 or whatever. I don't know who these people are. I don't know who any of them are. I've never met any of these people. As far as the Jewish community, the only people I've ever met were rabbis. Those are the only people I've ever met. And the rabbis are very, very hostile people in my experience. They're not the kind of people I'd want to be around. They like to sabotage people that are not Jewish, and I don't think that's very conducive. It's not a very sociable trait. It's a very antisocial trait. I find them to be extremely antisocial. Jewish people in general, they don't want anybody around them that's not Jewish, which is obviously very antisocial, and it's not something I want around me. It's not that I'm anti-Semitic. I just find them to be extremely antisocial, and I don't like that. I don't like it when somebody's antisocial and makes somebody else uncomfortable. Making fun of each other is one thing. Not liking a group of people because they're consistently antisocial towards you or some of the people you know, that's completely different. Because there are groups of people I won't let around anybody I know. I won't even let them know I know anybody, because I know they're aggressively antisocial. They target people and they pick on them and harass them and roll them. And I'm not a fan of that. Do I drop offensive words? Do I care if you're offended, if you're antisocial? Not really. If you're an antisocial person, that's on you. Calling me toxic is not going to solve your problem. Jeffrey Epstein had nothing to do with Bitcoin. Bitcoin Core is not Bitcoin. Bitcoin Core was the fork of Bitcoin that had to occur because we had some pretentious douche nozzle that was involved with trying to take over Bitcoin when the rest of us were just like, who is this guy? Like I said, antisocial people. It's literally like, who is this guy? And then I don't know of anybody that came in after during Bitcoin Core that had any authority. I mean, I've kept up with the dev team as often as they required me to. I've answered questions. I've responded when they asked if I saw any issues with something. I've not done anything professional with them at all other than that. I don't see anybody from Mossad being involved. Definitely not 8200, because those people are not very sociable, and the Bitcoin community, especially the dev team, is very sociable. They're not antisocial. They listen to people that know stuff about whatever it is they're doing. They don't care if you don't know anything about it otherwise, because they don't listen to you. It's not antisocial. They're very task and purpose driven. They're very organized. These guys are not a bunch of clowns. Are they going to have a nice, friendly, small talk conversation with you? As far as I'm aware, they only program in C, not small talk. So that's the answer to that. They don't do small talk. It's only C. So if you don't know how to program in C and don't know how to use any libraries, and you don't know how to write any code, or you don't know how to do any theoretical math for anything, or you don't know how to do any kind of permissive style attacks or timing attacks or any of that other stuff, then they're probably not going to have a conversation with you. They're just probably not going to pay attention to you at all. Not that because they're antisocial, not because they're anti-American. It's simply because they're only together because of Bitcoin's software development. Don't believe these stories about Epstein. Obviously, people lie. Obviously, the government lies. Obviously, people within the government can't be trusted because look what's going on. And I'm a person that used to be in the government. I was in the military. I know for a fact that you can't trust people in uniform. I know for a fact you can't trust people in a suit either, because they're all lie. If they're putting that on, it's because they want to be presentable, because they're going to sell you something that you don't want to even purchase. I'm always hesitant when somebody says they can for sure do something, because if I can't do it, how you can do it? I'm confused. Because anything you can do, I can do and do better, right? That's for women. Wait, how does that work?